What's up, everybody? It's December 11th, 2023, and that means I am officially 7 months into remission from stage 4 metastatic melanoma, and that's pretty cool if you ask me. What's not cool is the way that my physical and mental health are taking a beating from a 2-month-long cancer scare, which I've described a number of times on this vlog, but is getting to a point where I am now legitimately concerned. I would say I'm almost distraught about it, and it's kind of emblematic of what being a cancer patient is, especially someone with an advanced diagnosis. I want to be living my life and hitting milestones that are made possible to me by the awesome treatment and response that I've gotten from cancer care in the past, and yet I still have to look over my shoulder, specifically on my shoulder at this inflamed lymph node, to figure out if I'm going to have to go back to jail for a little bit. I think it's very worthwhile to note that I am still just in the middle of a scare. There is no actual indication that I'm going to be diagnosed with cancer. I need to keep saying this out loud for myself just as much as anyone who's watching this, because I've been to my oncologist and he's examined the lymph node and said, it seems fine, we'll just monitor it. I had an ultrasound done a few weeks ago in which he said it did not appear abnormal, but will continue to monitor it. And yes, 2 months is a long time to have an inflamed lymph node, but that can happen with anything. And I don't want to be, the boy who cries cancer. I mean, actually I do, because if I keep saying it and it never happens, then that's a win. But I don't want to be neurotic. I don't want to be stressing about this every single, month or whatever. I just know that this overt symptom is enough to warrant a little bit of concern. And so, I think talking about it like this is important, because this is what the life of a stage 4 cancer patient looks like. I think I stress as little as possible given the circumstances, but right now it would just not be realistic for me to be calm while there is something that is mimicking the recurrence I had in February. For those of you not keeping track at home, because why would you? During my recurrence, which was in February, my only systemic indication was a lymph node that had popped up in my jaw. During my first diagnosis, which was in January of 2018, the only indication that I had cancer was a freckle on my leg. I've never appeared systemically sick during either of my diagnostic periods, and so there is reason for me to be a little weirded out by this. But again, I just have to trust the science. I have to trust my oncologist. I have to trust my team around me, and I have to kind of quell these intrusive thoughts right now, because what's the point? If I'm going to be diagnosed, it'll happen, and if not, then I'm causing myself a lot of undue stress right now. So let's focus on the positives. The biggest positive is that I've had the opportunity to have 7 months in remission in the first place, with hopefully more blue sky in front of me if this turns out to just be a scare. When I was initially diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma in February, the treatment plan was estimated at 14 months. In fact, the term they used was indefinite, which would have put me till April of 2024. I finished treatment in May of 2023, and the last 2 months of it were just me recovering from autoimmune hepatitis. I actually only did 2 infusions, which is pretty incredible for the response I got. So that's huge. The other positive I can take away from this is that my mental health, while it has had its ups and downs, the stress I'm going through right now is significant, and believe me, it's just super weird being a 35-year-old person who's battled cancer their entire 30s. But my first diagnosis, the mental health stuff went so poorly. Even when I was done with treatment, it took me well over a year, I would say, to regain any sort of emotional balance or sense of identity. This time around, I was much more proactive in how I set up my support groups and my teams and my mental health resources, because I didn't want to, wake up and be in this huge depression spiral that I had gone through the first time, or realize that I had stopped talking about it to people so that everyone was guessing at how I was doing. The first blog post I made about this was reaching out to my friends and family, but then as soon as I realized that there were thousands of other patients online, or people who had treated patients, or caregivers, or family members, or friends, or loved ones, or whoever who wanted to give their experience back to me and share what they had learned, I took advantage of that. I kept posting and making videos, and we kept having these dialogues and building conversations about what it is to be a cancer patient, and it has helped me immeasurably. So even as I'm facing something a little scary right now, if something was to happen, I know that I am so much better equipped personally and with the group that I have to deal with it. So that's really important to me. That's a huge win. And one more thing that I've done that I'm really proud of is I've turned this situation, this recurrence in 2023, into a positive as it relates to the mental health aspects and the identity portion, which I've talked about a lot, including on this episode. Those are the hardest things for me as a cancer patient. I've been a cancer patient since I've been 30 years old, essentially. I'm going to be 36 in 2 weeks. And I've struggled for so long with, okay, can I just get past this and get back to being the old Mike? And at this point in time, the answer is no. There is no part of me that is going to just skip over cancer patient Mike and get back to someone who doesn't have to worry about it. So I decided that through advocacy and through talking about it and through a nonprofit and through establishing Cancer Mental Health Awareness Month, I could create a structure that can show me goals in this kind of life that I have been forced into, but then I have taken a bigger interest in being a cancer patient advocate. And it's been really, really rewarding. Not just in the sense that I have these resources that I can call upon. Like I said, now I have a community of people where if I'm going through it like I am right now, I get the help that I need. But also, I have friends who have had diagnoses. I have family members, including my dad, who are going through cancer right now. And for me to be able to give back to them, it's been really, really rewarding. And the final positive I'm going to list today is something that just popped into my head as I was describing the progression I had from my initial diagnosis at 30 all the way until today, where I'm about to be 36. I'm about to be 6 years into living with advanced metastatic melanoma. The 5-year survival rates for advanced metastatic melanoma are historically terrible. Even with immunotherapy, they're like 50%, let's say. And I think I'm doing a very, very good job, or at least the outcome has been good. Me doing the job, who knows? There's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of, treatment involved. There's a lot of things I don't control. But either way, the response has been good. And I've been, I'm entering my 6th year, which means I am defying the odds. Even if something bad is to happen right now, I think I have a good chance of overcoming that again. And at some point in time, that's all we can ask for as cancer patients, because we're thrust into this unknown situation in which our lives are changed forever. And, the first thing you think of when you get an advanced diagnosis is, holy shit, am I going to die from this? How am I going to die from this? When am I going to die from this? I know that's very morbid, but it's very true. I mean, if there wasn't this huge threat of cancer killing us, then we would just say, let's treat it and move on, but we know that at any given time, our lives can take that turn for the worse, so we have to appreciate the amount of time that we have with the disease. So, as I enter my 6th year, all I can think of is, I'm happy I've made it this far. I project to make it further, especially if this turns out to be nothing, but I would be doing a disservice to the people who suffered through cancer before me in terms of what they had to do for the testing of treatment or to get this data or to show what we can do to make our lives better now. Like, it would be an injustice to those people if I just said everyone's supposed to live this long from cancer. It hasn't always been that way. Living almost 6 years with metastatic melanoma is actually an achievement that I should also be proud of. So I think that's a pretty good summation of what it's like to be 7 months into remission from stage 4 metastatic melanoma. There's a lot to be happy about. There's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot of hope. At the same time, it's really weird. I feel lost at times. I feel scared at times, including right now. But that just might be a reality that I have to deal with for a long, long time, if not the rest of my life. But either way, I'm very, very pleased to be able to share this news with you. I'm very, very pleased to be able to share my life with you, even if it is just a small window through this vlog. It means a lot to me that there are people who care enough to check in like this and that we get to interact and broaden the conversation about what it's like to live with cancer. I think that this has become such an integral part of my life because the value really is there. The human connection is not just me speaking into the ether and getting nothing back, or you guys just watching and getting nothing back. There's a great connection between what I'm doing here and what we're doing here, and I think it's going to help cancer patients one way or another. At least that's something that I am hopeful for, going into 2024 and beyond. So if you've made it this far, I really, really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We've been growing super quickly. It's been super fun, and I hope to continue doing that. Until then, I'll talk to you later. Bye.